Hey everybody, I want to welcome back to Desert Sky Mystic. Today we are going to be doing our Chakra Tarot card reading for Cancer. Now, the way that this format goes is that we are using the chakras basically as our point of reference to place our cards and to get the messages that is being delivered from Spirit. So, this is a timeless reading, timeless general reading, which one means on the general side it will not apply to everybody, but it will resonate with some of you, hopefully a lot of you. And the timeless side of that is that whenever you're watching this is the right time. You know, I am reading in August, but that doesn't mean that this has to be August for it to apply. This is the messages here are designed to catch you when you are ready for them. And again, I hope they are helpful. So having said all that, let's go on and get started. I'll get this overhead cam fired up and we'll see what this reading has for you. Okay, we have our root chakra, which is our basic essential security and stability in life. We have our sacral chakra, which is our sexuality and our emotions, which I usually just read for emotions there, not interested in getting into sexuality a whole bunch. We have our solar plexus, which is the application of our personal power, our self-confidence, sometimes our careers. We have our relationships with the heart chakra. We have our throat chakra, which is the way we communicate or receive communications, oftentimes both. We have our third eye chakra, which for this reading is really the way that we are seeing the world right now, what lenses we are seeing the world through. And our crown chakra, which is how the world is seeing us at this point in time of our lives. So let's jump right in here. Okay, our root chakra, Ten of Cups. This is a very, very good, stable energy. You are really fulfilled right now. And uh, the Ten of Cups is really about having everything you want, not materialistically and not money wise, but just being in a really, really good place right now. And I really like this for the root chakra. That means you're feeling safe. You feel like your family's safe. You feel like you have the ability to provide. You know that all of the basic necessities in life are covered. You're not worried about those at this point in time. Let's take a look and see what we have coming in. Okay, so we have the Thunderbolt, we have the Compromise. I think this is more kind of what we've been dealing with in the past on this stuff. So the Thunderbolt, I think something has happened, and I think it has to deal with probably some people or some situation that you weren't really feeling the vibes of a whole bunch. And that's where this Compromise card comes in. This is this tentative situation. You can kind of see these two people. They're kind of green and gray, and they have this little bit of a truce here, but it's not really a very great place to be at. And as a result of that, things had to kind of crashing down here, and things had to change. One door had to close, and another one had to open. But I think this is energy that you've worked through. Actually, I think this is stuff that you've dealt with in the past. It's really kind of got you're clear of what this is. You are on the other side of whatever this door was that closed, and this new opportunity, this new energy, this new thing that you are working with you're a really happy place now. So again, I think we're past this energy. We moved on to this Ten of Cups. And I don't get the sense at all that you are out of whack or dealing with anything super major. I think that's all behind you, and you're very happy. You feel very comfortable, very stable with where you are currently at. But let's see what the rest of this reading has and see if that takes us in a different direction or not. Okay, emotionally, you've got the Queen of Swords, another great card, especially for your emotional state. The Queen of Swords is wise, decisive, knows what they want, is, bossing up. What's interesting about all the Queen cards to me give the energy of kind of working in the background, subtle, powerful, but it's not an in your face type of deal. It's a quiet power. And emotionally, what I mean, how much better could you really ask, from your emotional state to just be super confident and not things not really bothering you at this point in time. And when things do come up, you know how to handle that, so it's not like things are knocking you off your little island very easily. And when they do kind of mess around with you and do kind of mess with your emotions a little bit, you're able to get back on track very quick because of the way that you were able to handle this energy. So let's see what else we have here. Yep. So I think that this comes from experience. I think that in the past here, again, I think it's kind of a similar type approach to the over here with the root chakra. I'm getting that this is kind of a story. Like this is where you're at, and this is the story that led to this. And, I get the stress card here, and I think that, in the past that you have juggled a lot emotionally, and there has been a lot going on. And at any given time, someone can come in and just pop this balloon, and all of a sudden everything's kind of a wreck again, and your emotions were very much dependent on us, other people or external factors, things along those lines. But I don't think you like that. And I think what you did was you step back and say, no, this isn't working for me anymore. But at the same time, you kind of had to figure out, how do I resolve that? How do I deal with this? Which way am I going to go with this? And so you took a more stable approach to it, and you really kind of took a look out there, what's going on, and really got that under control and put some strategies into place that would allow you to not have those. I don't want to say emotional swings, but I guess that's one way to look at it. To keep yourself from swinging so quickly, to where you were able to slow those down, to where you're able to keep control over those and not let them mess with you. Because when it would swing, or when somebody would come in and pop that balloon, it would throw you from one state to another very quickly, and you just didn't like it. You didn't at all. So you did the stuff that you had to do to change that. So yeah, very much some great work that you've done with yourself in that approach. Okay, so self-confidence. We have the Page of Pentacles, and this is I think that really this speaks to, at least in, gosh, the way what I'm getting out of this is that you're really kind of exploring more the material things in your life. It was almost like in the past, maybe the material things, really what you had, what you didn't have, what you accomplished money wise or career wise was a big part of your self confidence. So if those things wavered, if they weren't going so well, and it doesn't even necessarily mean because of things that you did. I mean, it could have been you're at a job and that was your source of self-confidence, and then maybe that job, maybe the owner started having trouble with the company, and then that started creating instability, so your confidence would go down. So it's very much these external material things that I think were messing with you. So you started exploring that, looking at that. And I think that has a lot to do with kind of where you're at with the root chakra and the sacral chakra, as well as the exploration and taking a look at those types of deals. And I think you're still doing that. You're still evaluating. I don't think you're done with that particular journey. Let's see what else here we can figure out about that. Yeah, I think you were very much stuck in that energy, and that's what really kind of caused, stimulated, inspired the work you started doing, and the things you started changing, and the decisions you started making, and your outlook. Because this is an outlook deal. This is the way that you're looking at the world, and the way that the value you are placing on certain things in your life. And I think that the work is being done, and you are looking at the value you put on those types of things, whether it be career or money, something materialistic. And I think you are succeeding because again, these things have to occur before, I mean, these things kind of build upon each other. And I mean, you're already at a very good place in terms of how you feel your foundation is and everything else. The approach to handling your emotions and the way that you're reacting to things is very much in control. And I think that once again, that this is the stuff that has happened. to get you here. And I think you're very much exploring this energy, still trying to determine what value that holds for you. But I do think there was a certain point in time, like I said, that there were certain things in your life, materialistic wise, that kind of had you stuck. So that and they were external. It wasn't internal stuff. So it wasn't like, this was stuff that was like happening that you didn't have any control over. And as a result of those things happening, it would make you feel a certain way, it hit your self-confidence a certain way and so forth. But I think that you've recognized this and you broke away from this, and this journey, this improvement, this thing that you're doing for yourself, this new way of looking at things and self-improvement and so forth was very much a leap of faith. You're like, okay, listen, I need to look at things differently. I need to look at this and decide, okay, does my job determine my worth? Does maybe it's a relationship? Does this relationship determine my worth? And for you, I think that answer was no. Now, I don't think you've made it through all of those different levels because there's a lot of different value assessments to be made here. But I do think you've broken free and you're moving forward. There's very much a leap of faith here because you made the determination that, you don't like where you're at. You may not know where you're going, but it's got to be better than where you're at. And you made that determination. You're going to trust in yourself, and you took that leap of faith to start making these changes and really start exploring these and asking these questions and probing your belief system. So that's a very, very cool thing that you're doing right now. I really like that. Okay, so on the relationship front, I actually think, given the Three of Pentacles, that maybe you are actually working in conjunction with somebody on this. The Three of Pentacles is working on a project together type of card, and different people have their different roles of what they're contributing to it. But with this particular deal in the relationship spot of this reading, and I think you are very much seeking help and guidance or working with somebody to make these improvements and really, deep dive and take and ask those questions and look at those belief patterns and make these changes. And perhaps it's a counselor, perhaps that's a really good friend, perhaps you and your friend are making changes together and you're kind of working with each other and bouncing these things back and forth. Perhaps it is a spouse, maybe you guys are making wholesale changes together as a couple and as individuals. But whatever this is, you are definitely working with somebody in some context to help move forward. And I think that's a good thing because I think that's moving you along quicker than what you would if you were just trying to tackle this by yourself. You're getting more instant feedback as opposed to making changes and just kind of waiting to see what happens. You have the added benefit now of instant feedback on those, and which helps us make better and quicker decisions. So I do think that you are changing the way that you do things. I mean, that's been a common thing here, and I get it again here with the morality card. I think there's still a component that there are certain things that are still the same, but those are changing in a process. The morality card speaks to the idea of going through the motions, although you don't necessarily believe in them anymore, but you still need to go through them until you figure out what this new stuff is going to be. And so I think for you that there is definitely a component of that. And even it speaks to that over here with the Page of Pentacles as you are still trying to figure out your outlook, your value assessment on the material things in life and what those mean to you. I think that that is what's happening. And again, you're doing this in terms with somebody in some sort of relationship in conjunction with somebody, but you're really evaluating, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, what do I need to shed, what do I need to keep, all those different things. And in that, you are healing, and healing metaphysically a lot of times I just like to explain it as a change. I mean, you are creating change. In this particular situation, you're creating change for yourself, and this one I think is a positive change. And I do think this is a very healing type of journey that you're on right now for yourself, because you're taking yourself from a place that wasn't so pleasant to a place that is a lot better for you. And if you are working with somebody like a friend or family, spouse, something along the line, I think they're on the same journey with you. Okay, so on the communication side of things, it looks like there may be a little bit of conflict in your world right now. I don't think you are real sure on how to talk about or how to express some of this stuff. I think as part of some of the exploratory process, perhaps you're worried about how it'll come off or how it'll come across. But I also think that this is in general, I think that you are kind of holding some of this close to the vest, and that outside of the person or a couple people that you're working with to explore this stuff, it's not something you're talking a lot about, so it's kind of closed down, kind of closed off. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because at least in terms of the way we're communicating with people about this stuff, is you don't know 100% for yourself. So I mean, it's it's fine when we're talking about to our confident about this stuff, and we're getting that feedback and we're making changes and improvements and so forth. But just to the everyday person or people that really don't know what's going on or what we're working on, that type of stuff, those things can kind of appear kind of flighty from time to time. And that's one thing that I think you're trying to avoid right now. So I think in that respect, that's a kind of a healthy thing, actually. You're not sure whether or not you should talk about this stuff, but I think your approach right now is the right way to do it. I also think that you're being a little careful with the way that you receive communications as well. That you're being real careful in that when you hear people communicating things and the messages they are pushing across, you're being real careful not to overreact. It's kind of one of those things where you get an email and you're like, ooh, and maybe immediately you take it wrong and you get mad, and and a lot of times we have this tendency to fire back, and then it was really not near as big of a deal as we took it. And if we would have just taken a day to um, uh, just think about it, we wouldn't have been upset. So we reacted and we reacted too quickly. I think you're very much aware of that, and I think you are taking those steps to, even if something does upset you, you're not really reacting immediately because you realize that perhaps you are a little sensitive right now on that. But I think that's all due to the changes you're making in your life as well. And again, I think that ties back into being just emotionally secure, and having your stability here. You are recognizing things for what they are on the emotional side, and even on the think places, even in the areas where you are a little unstable, you still have this base that's really coming in and helping you out on your thought processes and the way that you approach things. But let's take a look here. Maybe there's some other messages in there too. Yeah, so I think this just reinforces what I was talking about. So, I mean, we do have this moment to moment card, which is where I was talking about things being, you're being very careful about the way that you react to things. And, again, there's a lot of kind of turbulence, a lot of different things moving around here. There's a lot of different noises, but you are putting one foot in front of the other. You are taking this moment for moment, and you are being very mature in that you recognize this stuff about you. And so you're being very careful with how you react. And, in terms of the communication that you were giving off, I got the lovers card, but I think this is really referring to more of a choice, and that this communication that you have and is really kind of isolated to very few people. You're not shouting from the rooftops. Or having these long, heartfelt conversations with everybody and their brother. There's a few people that intimately know what's happening with you, and perhaps it's the only other persons or the people that you're working through with this, but you're keeping this very kind of tight knit, which I think right now is a good thing. It's going to lead to good things as well. Once you start to figure this out more for yourself, once you start to understand it and once it sticks for a little bit, then there's going to be plenty of time if people want to know. But usually what happens is people see this externally anyway, and there is no need to communicate. So I think right now your approach is a very good approach in terms of moving you forward and not complicating this journey for yourself. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. So the way that you are seeing the world right now, this is The third eye, at least in the way this is reading, is the way that we're looking at the world, the prism we're looking at. I think that really this is kind of an energy that we're, in some respects, moving away from. I get the idea that maybe you gave too much of yourself to other people and to the world, and that, that can be, well, no, I don't know. I think when you give too much of yourself, it's draining. That there's the balance of life is thrown off, and I think that that's you're still very much there. I think that's part of kind of this work that you're doing with yourself. And again, if this is towards material things, this could have been maybe giving way too much to your job or your career at the expense of your family or your health or your emotional state. But whatever this is, I really get the sense that um, you put everybody else first. You put everything else first, and it caused some damage there. But I think that the way that you're looking in the world, you're still there, and you're trying to figure out how, because this is very much you, but you need to figure out a way to where that you can fulfill that part of you and give what you need to give to the world, because giving is fulfilling to you. But you need to figure out that way that, that giving, that fulfillment to other people doesn't take away from you, doesn't drain you, doesn't take too much from you. And I think that's where this work is. It's reevaluating those material value systems. It's really working with this person. It's working out these conflicts and being mature with the way that we go. Again, I think this is a good thing. You have some very good points here of stability that are really reinforcing your ability to do this work here. But I think your mindset right now is very much still, and I think you recognize it, but I just think you still struggle with a little bit, that you haven't made that shift from being full blown, let me give you everything I have, to the energy that comes after that, which is that balance that you really need to make that successful. Because when we drain ourselves, then we have to recoup, we have to deal with all this stuff. But if you can find that balance, you're able to help people or be there for people on a much more consistent and a healthier basis as well, much longer. So. Yeah, so again, the I don't necessarily like the name of this card. It's a schizophrenia card. I really don't think the name has anything to do with the card itself. What we have here is this person that is holding on by their hands and holding on by their feet to two different structures here. And if they let go with their hands, they're going to go in head first. And if they let go with their feet, they're going to go in feet first. But whatever this is one of those decisions that once they make it, they're not coming back from. So it's a difficult decision a lot of times. And I think that that's really kind of what you're working on, is that choice or that balance, finding that balance, because you know that once you really commit, that's going to be, that you're not going to come back from that. But I think it's a positive thing, because I think you are moving in the right direction. I think you are trying to find this balance, and whatever that is for you, once you make that decision, once you make those changes, that's going to be it for you, and you're going to be successful with that as well. I don't know how long it's going to take you, but ultimately, the way that you're thinking about these things, the way that you're processing this and this journey that you're on, you are going to be successful, and there's a reason to celebrate here. And you see that light at the end of the tunnel. You know what's going on. You understand that this was been draining you for quite some time. You understand that changes are necessary in the way to approach life. But I also think that once you find that balance, once you make this decision, that you're going to be in a really, really good spot, and you're going to start being able to give to people in a way that you've never been able to give to them before, which will be a very fulfilling thing for you in your life. But at the same time, you will be able to keep more of yourself. You will find that balance, which again, that's something to be celebrated. And I think that's really the main kind of focus on all this stuff that you're working on, really leads to the point of how do we find that balance? Where does that come from? So I think that's the point of this journey right now for you. Let's see how the world's kind of looking at you. How are they seeing this stuff? They're seeing this as a very much a kind of an intellectual type deal. They're seeing this. They're not seeing all the work that's happening here. They see this as like changes that you are making. They almost see this as they don't, gosh, I almost get the sense they don't really know what's going on with you, but whatever it is, it makes you look very dignified. Maybe it's the art. I don't know. It's just the energy. They're like, okay, something's happening, but I don't know what's happening. Whatever it is, it's good, but we can't quite put our finger on it yet. And they're watching and are looking at you, and that's okay because you don't care right now. You know, you are very kind of internal about this. You're keeping this again close to the vest, and has got people curious about what is coming down the pipeline with you and what this, when this is all kind of played out, what is that going to look like? So the people that are looking, I think, are very, very interested in this, and they don't quite have a grasp on what's happening yet. They just know that good things are happening. They just can't figure out what it is or why. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I think this reinforces kind of what I was talking about. You know, that we got the adventure card here, which again, you know, people as they are looking at you, anyone that actually knows you, they know you're on some sort of adventure, some sort of journey, some sort of changes that you're trying to make here. They don't know what. All they know is that when this is all said and done, that this is going to be a really, really good thing for you. And this is the guidance card, which again is about working on yourself. I mean, you got this person back here, and with this card, traditionally speaking, is talking about improving a skill, trade, craft, something along those lines, but having divine guidance as well as helping you move forward. So overall, this is really the way that people are seeing you, is that you are making some changes, you are working on stuff, and it's very internal changes. You know, you're not really talking about it. They don't quite understand it. They just know that something is happening and something good is happening. So I think overall, at least the projections that you're putting out there is one of strength. It's one of grace. I would imagine it's a very inspiring type of energy for people to look at. You know, it's interesting on the inspiration part of it is that, you know, they see something happening, they don't quite know what to make of it. They know it's a positive thing and it's an inspiring thing, but they can't quite put the thumb on what it is. And maybe one day they will. Maybe once some of this stuff, once you get this all worked out, maybe if you do get a little more open about it, you know, they're gonna understand it as well. But this does get them thinking about their own life and their own happiness and things along those lines. And on the inspiring part, I think it's going to be different for everybody. You know, sometimes when we do something, let's just say weight loss journey as an example. Sometimes when people know you're on a weight loss journey and they see the improvements you're making, they're like, oh, I would like to be on a weight loss journey as well. I'm going to start researching that and I'm going to make the changes. And they've inspired me to do this thing. So in this particular situation, they don't know exactly what you're doing. They just know that you're moving to a better and a more positive place. And they are inspired, but each one is inspired in a different way. It makes them think about the things that they want to do in their life, but each thing is unique to them. You know, it may be something completely different from what you're doing. I mean, for example, if this has nothing to do with weight loss for you, someone may see this and say, well, I don't know what they're doing, but you know, I really want to concentrate on my weight and I want to start looking at this and I want to start making some positive changes for myself. So you're inspiring them to make these weight loss changes, although your journey has nothing to do with weight loss. So you're going to affect people in a very personal way, and hence also give to them without even knowing it. And each person is going to take that inspiration and apply it to what they need the most to work on for themselves at that point in time. So in that way, I mean, wow, you're going to affect a lot of people. You know, very, very interesting kind of energy there. And I think you're doing some great work. So please keep it up, keep moving forward. You know, based on what I've seen in the cards, you are going to be very successful in this. I don't know what the time frame is for you, but I do think that you will move at the pace that you want to move at. So whether that's 3 months or 3 years, you will be successful at this and you're going to move at the perfect pace for you. And it's perfectly fine. That's the right pace for you to move at. Okay, so that is what I have for this reading. If any of this resonates with you, please like the video. Thank you in advance for that. Also, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. That helps us out a lot, and we'd love to have you as part of the family. So thank you once again for watching, and we will see you next time.